The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
Thursday, 16th of April.
The FujiCast.
The month has almost gone, Kev, as we were saying just a moment ago before we turned the microphones officially on. What have you done in this month?
Stayed in a lot. And I've done a lot of work, actually. It's been all right.
You have?
Making ground.
I haven't made much ground at all, I think. I seem to have developed a daily podcast, which is nice, but I can't think that I've done an awful lot of work on my business. So it's time to start, I think. I don't know, but have you ever heard that song? I was mentioning this the other day, called Busy Doing Nothing, working the whole day through, trying to find lots of things not to do. Have you ever heard that one?
Don't think so.
There was an old Bing Crosby number that then went on to Barbara Gaskin and Dave Stewart. We're busy doing nothing, working the whole day through. I'd like to be unhappy, but I never did have the time, or something like that. It was all about just managing to fill your day up with stuff, but not quite knowing where you've ended up. It feels a bit like that. We all are almost 4 weeks into this, aren't we?
Yeah. This is the new normal, though, now, isn't it?
Going back to work, what's that? Earning money, what's that? I'd like to have a go, though. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's the FujiCast photography show. It's a Thursday. Yes, it is a Thursday. So we have the daily photo challenge. We're going to keep it slightly shorter today. I had a DM literally 5-10 minutes before we started this, and in brackets, I'm going to try. I can always edit it out if I do it by accident. Please don't say my name. Hence the direct message. DM. Listen to your latest episode with Keith Bernstein. Literally, as Overcast sent the notification to my phone. We're supposed to be walking for maximum half hour according to the guidelines, and that should be for exercise or dog walking. So I set off with said dog for a brisk jaunt through the local woods. That show was best part of 1 hour, chaps. But I was so interested in the topic, I extended the walk and ended up coming back far later than planned. Any chance you could keep up your side of the bargain and deliver the short dailies you promised, as I can't be breaking the law in these serious times? Not that the dog minded. I think he's become a fan of the extended ones. Keep up the good work, Kevin Neal. I'm not sure.
So that's the end of today's show. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah. He's got a point. They have been getting a bit stretchy.
I do apologise. Right, we'll try and keep them shorter. We'll go straight into questions then, shall we? Although I did see, I know this will drive you mad, we're not supposed to be political. Let's try not to be political here.
Don't be a cutie pie.
Donald Trump.
What's he done now?
He's taken the funding away from the World Health Organization.
No, we mustn't discuss it. I can't discuss it because my head will explode. I'm not talking about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a short interlude while Kevin Mullins decides what he feels about that news story. Right, do you feel better now, Kev?
Anyway, moving on.
All right, questions. Llewellyn Annandale. Hi guys, Kev, could you talk about how you use the GFX... look, here we go, look, straight away, come in, hello. I just said to everybody I'm recording the podcast, so could we have like a third day where we don't get interrupted? What do you want?
I need a wee.
Kev, if it's
that's
not...
Sam.
Yeah, that's Sam. That's not even...
Jack's on the other loo.
It's no...
He's having an eye poo.
What Kev calls an eye poo.
What's an eye poo?
It's when you sit on the loo and you just read...
I don't do that. That's only boys that do that.
Is it only boys?
Yeah.
Do you do that, Kev?
No, I don't. Albie does.
How long can Albie stay in the little room for?
A week, easily, yeah.
Do you ever find yourself going in there saying, come on, chaps, hurry up now. Let me have your iPad or your iPhone so you can concentrate on doing what you need to do so we can use the loo in the house.
And we've already got one as well, remember?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, come on, Albs.
Is there a queue? What about Rosa? Rosa
I don't think he's actually
doing
doing anything in there apart from sitting on his iPad. I think he just sits on the side of the bath.
Oh, does he? Is that what he does? Oh, right.
He likes his own little space, bless him.
Both our boys, they take either an iPad or an iPhone in there. I'm sure it can't be good for you.
No.
Anyway, we'll carry on. So, Kev, could you... She's going to come out again in a second. Kev, could you talk about how you use the GFX at weddings in one of the podcasts, please? I went from the Fuji X-T2 to the Sony for wedding photography for the autofocus mainly. The Fujis had let me down one too many times, and I needed to get results, but I'm still shooting all my own personal work on a little XT30 and still loving it, which has started me thinking about going back to Fuji for weddings. That said, I have a Sony A7R III and really love the high megawatts it count for some of my work, especially when it allows you to crop in when you need to. So how and when are you using the GFX 50R at weddings, and what lenses do you use if you do?
I don't.
It's going to be a really short show at this rate.
No, I don't use it. I don't.
Why
I no longer
don't
have
you?
the 50R for a start.
I know.
Sold it.
What one have you got? You've got
the 100.
You've got the
now,
100
yeah.
now. So this would be absolutely superb for portraits if you were to take lots of portraits, of course.
Correct. If you're a fine art, editorial, group shotty, portraity type, more traditional wedding photographer, then the GFX is going to kill it for you.
Yeah.
Probably the 100 is a bit overkill. The 50S or 50R will be amazing, but don't expect it's not going to be used for kind of reportage, candid, running around, snapshot type stuff. It just isn't. The GFX 100 has better autofocus than the smaller 50s because it has face detection pixels and it's got IBIS and its face recognition is better and all that kind of stuff. But of course, it's much bigger, so it's not really for my style of wedding photography. It just doesn't fit. Some people use them. Some people use them at weddings. I can see. I mean, Sanjay wouldn't, of course, because he's a Canon ambassador. But I could see him using something of that capacity for his beautiful kind of portraits and stuff like that. It'd be amazing for those kind of things.
Well, if he was lucky enough to shoot Fuji, he would. But you're right. There are a few people that do use the GFX for beautiful portraiture and stuff at weddings, and I can entirely
Scott Johnson uses it. Scott Johnson uses his 50.
Okay. But you're hoping to do a lot more sort of Louis Garvan kind of shots at some stage, aren't you, with that camera? That's what.
Yeah.
But it won't be at weddings.
That's the plan. Something a little bit more artistic that's not weddings, and also for my commercial stuff. The little bits of commercial stuff I did have planned that are obviously no longer going to happen. They some of them were they were kind of technical images, if you like. So they really needed high megapixel stuff to zoom right in on the images. So it was going to be useful for that stuff.
Perfect for headshot work, wouldn't it? In the commercial world, absolutely spot on for that kind of work.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible. The megapixels out of them is just like phenomenal.
I'm trying to think of the headshot photographer Platten that I really like. Love his work, and he works with very short focal length lenses, so they're kind of distorted around the edges, and he does all those amazing portraits of powerful people like Obama and people like that. But he uses very short focal length lenses. What would the equivalent have to be if you were using a GFX for something like that?
Well, they've got 45, they've got 50 mil, 45 mil. Yeah.
Because you go the other way, don't you? When you start to think of it in the terms, like 24 mil is in that kind of, when you're thinking of the Canon, Nikon.
This is really easy for you to say.
I know. I'm trying. Well, I know how much you hate me using the sort of equivalent lens length, but you know where I'm going with this. The equivalent lens length goes the other way when you're using the larger sensor, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's reverse maths.
Yeah. Derek Comer from Manchester. On things you wish you had, still had or hadn't sold. Years ago, chaps, I was using the Olympus OM system. I had a OM1, OM10, OM4T with some cracking lenses. Then autofocus started to become more prominent on SLR cameras. So I sold the OM4T to buy a lens for my new camera, which I was going to buy. I went to Jessop's, part X'd the gear for a Sigma SLR camera. Do you remember the Sigma SLR cameras?
Yeah.
Autofocus and a few Sigma lens. Oh my God. I thought it was me not using the camera correctly, but it wasn't. It was just a terrible camera. Replaced a word there, I did. That couldn't use autofocus for love nor money. So here I was, minus all my lovely Olympus gear, trying to take photos with a camera that just couldn't and wouldn't focus on anything. Things have changed for Derek now. He's bought a load of Fuji gear, but it does beg the question, photographic stuff you sold but wish you hadn't. Is there stuff that you thought, I wish I'd hung on to that? We were talking about the 50 to 140 the other day, and I wish I'd hung on to that because it'd be a really useful lens. I'm
not sure it's something that I wished I'd hung on to, but there was a lens I had in my Canon days that was incredible. It was, and I can't quite remember what it was called now. It was a super macro type thing. I think it's called like MCE 65 or something. Right. It was like a less than 1-to-1 ratio, so you could go really close up to like ants and things like that, and take pictures. Obviously, you had to light it somehow because the closer you got.
Great for the ant photography.
Great for ant photography. There was a manual focus only, a really difficult lens to get used to, and I think it's quite difficult to get hold of as well. But it was fantastic. The images were like knockout. It was out of this world. But of course, I don't shoot Canon any longer, so it's not really a case of wished I'd kept that. But I wish there was something similar in the Fujifilm world for me to get the same kind of impact.
There's nothing that you've sort of relinquished from your bag, but thought, why did I not keep that? Why is it gone? I need it now. I mean, I don't get that attached to stuff, to be honest. There was an old film camera, Zenit camera that I had years ago that I wish I'd kept. But that's just, it's not anything I particularly miss in terms of it being utilitarian or anything.
I do wish I could have been one of those people that kept all of their cameras. Of course, like financially, there's no way I could have done it. But you often see. Like old photographers, and behind them is 150 cameras. Like, I've never sold a camera. I've kept every single one.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been ace. But, yes. You have to sell to get, don't you?
Did you? Yeah, you do. Did you, talking of the lenses, the Canon lenses, that 85mm 1.2, I mean, that was an amazing glass. Weighs as much as a Magnum of champagne, isn't half as much fun. But this thing took forever to focus. Do you remember? I often used to say to you, joke with you, you get married, have children, send them off one by one to university in the time that thing took to lock focus. But it was one of those lenses I sold, bought again, sold, bought again. Didn't quite know what to do with the thing.
Yeah, I had that lens as well. I got on all right with that, actually. Back button focusing. Yeah, as always. Back button focusing is your friend.
Well, I should have spoken to you at that point then. And that 135. Did you have the 135mm as well?
Yeah.
That was just an odd focal length. Offered the world, but left you wondering, what can I do with this?
It was F2, wasn't it? So it was. I used to use it for my rugby photography. It was good.
Did you?
Yeah, F2. It was nice. You get some nice bokeh.
The bokeh chicken, yes. Stephen Johnson, a gear question for the Daily Show, please. I currently have one camera body, XT2, along with the 35mm 1.4, 16-55-2.8. Also got my little Ricoh GR3. A lot of people have been mentioning the Ricohs recently. My weddings for this year have either moved to the end or next year, so I've got a little bit more time to think about gear. I probably have about 600 quid to use on either an extra lens. I was thinking about the 23-1.4 or 56-1.2 used, or buying a second XT2 stroke XT3 so that I can use the 35mm on one camera and the 16-55 on the other. Which path do you think makes more sense? I know which path I'd choose.
What would you do?
Second body. You can't be going out with just one body, I think. I'm not sure how many weddings. Oh, he does 5 to 6 a year. Okay, so it's growing business. So, in that case, Stephen Johnson, second body. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say second body, purely because it's, I think it's irresponsible to shoot a paid wedding without a second body. Yeah. I just do. And I was actually going to say, if you're a wedding photographer, stop thinking about new gear. Because that's the last thing. You ought to be thinking about feeding the kids first, but it sounds like you're lucky enough to have another income stream.
Yeah. But when you
case, second body.
When you go back to it, second body.
The Daily Show Photo Challenge.
All right. Well, we're still sifting through the loved ones from yesterday. Very good challenge, by the way, and people didn't go quite the direction I thought for a minute with the way we were talking yesterday they were going to go, but there's some lovely photos in there, so well done. Keep those coming in, because we actually now give the answer, well, not the answers, but the winners on Monday's show, so you've got a little bit more time if you didn't join in with love. Today, a brand new photo challenge from Kev.
Today's photo challenge is 50s.
50s?
50s. So
what do you mean
the idea is you take a picture.
Yeah.
You take a picture that could have been taken in the 1950s.
Ah.
So we're looking for something that's devoid of all modernism, essentially. Could be a person that doesn't have any modern clothes or glasses or anything like that. It could be a part of your house. Could be a ceiling. It could be a floor. It could be an item.
Could be the plumbing.
Could be a plumbing. Yeah. Oh, no, our bath went again yesterday.
1650s. Oh, less than that actually. 15. Your house is gazillions old, isn't it?
Oh, our house is, yeah. But what you have to think about with these, I often set this challenge on my street photography workshops, and it's really hard because the stuff that's in the background is usually the hardest thing. So often people will take a picture of a really old building and then notice double glazing or CCTV cameras or people walking by with modern umbrellas or something. So we're looking for something that could have been taken in the 1950s from the perimeter of your safety zone. Yeah. So your house, your garden.
That's a tricky one, Kev.
Yeah.
Have you? There's people that look out. You're talking about things like CCTV cameras. I love those. I can really go down a rabbit hole with YouTube films when they point out continuity errors in films. I know it's a bit sad, but when people point them out, and you think, oh yeah, like a Victorian period costume drama, and just you would have thought out of camera's reach, but it's not. You can see a Ford Fiesta tucked just around the corner or something.
Did you see? Have you watched Quiz on ITV about
no.
It's about those people that cheated on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a dramatization of that. It's actually very good, but it's really funny because Martin Sheen is playing your mate's what's his name? The guy who does the questions on it.
Well, Chris Tarrant.
Chris Tarrant, yeah. Michael Sheen is playing Chris Tarrant. Yes. But in the credits, it says Chris Tarrant, Martin Sheen. So today on Twitter, I spotted Michael Sheen had changed his Twitter name to Martin Sheen. And all it says is pinned post is, "You had one job, ITV. One job."
Oh. A friend of mine, Guy, who's a very successful voiceover artist, that is practically his hobby, is pointing out continuity errors in films. He ruins a film. You're watching James Bond with him or something, and he's got this beautiful home cinema, and it's an amazing room that he has, surround sound. I mean, who needs to go out? He doesn't. He never has. I didn't think the world's changed that much for him. But when you watch a film with him, he points out all the continuity errors. That they were on the left just now, wearing a tie, not wearing a tie now, jacket undone. Nope, jacket was done up just a moment ago. That person's wearing a white jumper, not a red jumper in the last frame. I don't know how he notices this stuff. But he does.
God.
Anyway, good luck with that one. 50s today. Not quite sure what we'd do for that. What have we got now? I mean, you might have to go and find some fancy dress.
You'd be stuck. Yeah, but you're not allowed to cheat. You're not allowed to set things up.
What, that? No, you can't you?
No, that's cheating.
Right.
It could be real stuff.
Well, but if in your cupboard you have a load of stuff like 50s because you're into that kind of thing, would that not count?
Listen, most people's houses will have been built, maybe 60s, 50s, but there will be stuff that could have been taken. Remember, the key word here is could have been taken in the 50s.
So it doesn't have to be a 50s object.
Doesn't have to be a 50s object. It could be something that wouldn't have looked out of place in the 50s.
This is going to be a black and white one, isn't it? I can,
Maybe. Think about your backgrounds, though.
Yeah, true. Right, last one from Michael Smith. I've been busy playing catch-up in recent weeks and made quick progress in the past 3 weeks. I live in Spain. You're one of your favourite places in the world, Kev. I know not this year.
It.
No, next year. Next year you'll be back. And this is the amount of time that we have been under the lockdown order. Unfortunately, this has recently been extended to the 26th of April, so a few more weeks to go yet. But hopefully returning to some form of normality, whatever that is, Michael. Although I truly believe and hope there will be a new normal at the end of this. Yeah, I think there will be. I agree with you totally on trying to use the time that we have at home to get better prepared for when businesses are allowed to reopen the doors again. To this end, I'd like to make your listeners aware of the Open University, who have a whole raft of free online courses. And you can take in all sorts of stuff from health, sports, psychology, education, development, history, arts, languages, money, business, amongst many others. Courses range from being an hour long up to 50 hours long. Have you ever done an OU course?
No.
Was that? Michael's taken a handful in the past couple of weeks for absolutely zilch, nada, no money at all. And while there's no official accreditation, they're certainly very educational. So there we are. That's a good tip. But he also has something else here. He's identified a potential photographic business opportunity. He lives on the outskirts of a tourist hotspot that has, as a result, has hundreds of holiday apartments available to rent throughout the year. But he's noticed that the quality of the accompanying photographs on the listings leave a lot to be desired. So he's thinking about going into real estate photography. Do either of you have experience with that type of photography? I think the answer is going to be no. And what sort of advice would you be able to give to somebody starting to looking to start a new business? Well, we don't. I mean, I have done some real estate stuff, Michael. I did some filming of some properties last year, and then added a voiceover on. So I guess that counts. Because that's,
of course it does.
I guess you've got to find the sort of things that. The trouble is, real estate. I mean, do you think people are really bothered about the photography as much as we would like to think they are?
Yeah, I think they are, because especially the high end stuff. I know that a lot of the kind of excuse me when I sneeze and cough.
That's all right.
The high end estate agents around here, they have proper filming and photography crews, departments. Because these are multi-million-pound properties, and the first thing you're going to see is a picture. Yeah. I mean, you know that every time you look at a house for sale on Rightmove or something, you look, all of the rooms look absolutely massive, and that's because they're taking them with a 2mm lens, and then you turn up and it's the size of a little tiny bathroom. Photography is hugely important. However, I think that your average high street estate agent probably doesn't treat it as importantly as they should do.
No.
I remember speaking to one here, and I went in and I said, "Hey, fancy having some decent photos done?" "Oh yeah, we do them. I do them ourselves on our phone. They're good enough."
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay. I'll move on.
Yeah, but you're right. If you're doing bigger properties, then maybe it's more important. What kind of lenses would Fujifilm offer up? I'm assuming Michael's a Fujifilm user here.
Well, I mean,
what would be a good kit bag for it?
The best kit bag would be the GFX, but if they did a tilt shift lens, wide angle lens,
which they don't.
Which they don't quite right now for GFX. But I think that's something they're thinking about. But other than that, you've got things like the 1024, you've got the 1655, you've got all angles covered, absolutely all angles. There's nothing you couldn't use in the Fujifilm kit bag. But yeah, the high end stuff, they're going to want they're going to want proper, decent photography, well lit. I know a friend of mine, Martin. He does a lot of interior photography, and and he openly admits, Martin Bennett, he doesn't. He takes photos, but it's all stitch work. It's all he'll take multiple shots with different lighting, and then he'll spend days on end in Photoshop putting it all together.
Yeah.
So it's more artwork than it is photography.
Now, the Canons had, I only know this from being a Canon user, had a really good HDR feature which knitted it all together in one shot. And there's not a similar thing though in Fuji, is there?
You've got HDR now on X-T3, X-T4, HDR bracketing. I'm not sure if it stitches it together. I think it does actually, yeah.
Does it?
Yeah. So there is a similar thing.
Yeah, the X-T4 does that. Well, I'm not an X-T4 user, but that's the kind of thing if I was thinking real estate.
Don't think anybody's an X-T4 user yet.
No,
hasn't managed to get into the factory.
Although Andreas did say the next couple of weeks they should be arriving. He was fairly confident about it. He said the factory is now at work. It's which is good news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We managed to keep it short today. Is that all right? I'm hoping that... I can't say his name. I was just about to say his name. I'm hoping that he'll be happy with it.
So it's a man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that... Yeah, that...
Right, that narrows it
down. That narrows it right down.
Now, did the first name begin with B?
No. C? No. You missed out A. No. D?
I give up. No. Okay, otherwise it's going to be too long. Quick, let's finish.
We could be another 45 minutes doing that. All right, so once again, photo challenge of the day, which is a good one. Another challenging one. What is it, Kev?
50s. Pictures that wouldn't look at a place if they were taken in 1950s.
1950s. What are you up to this evening?
Gonna stay in, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kev. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yep. Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.